Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered how we got to where we are today? It's easy to think of history as this long, straight line, but in reality it's full of twists, turns, and moments that completely changed the game. These are the turning points, the single events or periods that sent humanity hurtling down a brand new path. Today, we're going to dive into some of the most pivotal moments that have shaped our world. From the birth of civilization to the dawn of the digital age, these are the stories of how one decision, one invention, or one idea could alter the destiny of millions. So, grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's journey back in time to explore the turning points that made us who we are. First up, let's travel way, way back to what's called the agricultural revolution. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors were nomads, hunter-gatherers, constantly on the move, following herds and searching for edible plants. Their lives were dictated by the seasons and the availability of food. But then, around 10,000 BC, something incredible started to happen in different parts of the world, like the Fertile Crescent. People figured out how to domesticate plants and animals. They learned to plant seeds, wait for them to grow, and harvest the crops. This might sound simple to us, but it was a world-changing innovation. For the first time, humans didn't have to wander to survive. They could build permanent settlements. This led to the first villages, then towns, and eventually the first cities. With a stable food supply, populations boomed. People could specialize in other jobs besides finding food, becoming artisans, priests, soldiers, and leaders. This is the foundation of civilization as we know it. Without agriculture, there would be no cities, no writing, no governments, none of the complex societies we live in today. It was the ultimate turning point that took us from wanderers to builders. Now let's jump forward a few thousand years to ancient Greece, specifically to the city of Athens in the 5th century BC. This is where a radical new idea took hold: democracy. The word itself comes from Greek, meaning rule by the people. Before this, most societies were ruled by kings, emperors, or small groups of powerful nobles. The idea that ordinary citizens could have a say in how they were governed was revolutionary. In Athens, eligible male citizens could participate directly in the assembly, debating laws, making decisions about war and peace, and even voting to exile politicians they didn't like. Of course, it wasn't a perfect system. Women, slaves, and foreigners were excluded. But the concept of citizen participation and political freedom was born here. This idea didn't die with ancient Athens. It was rediscovered and reinterpreted centuries later, influencing the Roman Republic. The thinkers of the Enlightenment and the founders of modern nations like the United States and France. The very idea that you can vote and have a voice in your government has its roots in the dusty assembly hills of ancient Athens. It's a turning point that continues to shape political struggles and aspirations all over the globe. Let's fast forward again, this time to the mid-15th century in Mainz, Germany. In a small workshop, a man named Johannes Gutenberg was perfecting an invention that would change the world forever: the printing press with movable type. Before Gutenberg, books were incredibly rare and expensive. Each one had to be painstakingly copied by hand by scribes, a process that could take months or even years. As a result, knowledge was locked away, accessible only to the wealthy, elite, and the church. Gutenberg's press changed everything. Suddenly, books and pamphlets could be produced quickly and cheaply in massive quantities. Ideas could spread like wildfire. The first major book Gutenberg printed was the Bible, making it accessible to more people than ever before. This fueled the Protestant Reformation, as people could read and interpret the scriptures for themselves. Scientific knowledge, philosophical treatises, and political pamphlets all began to circulate widely, sparking the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment. The printing press democratized information. It broke the monopoly on knowledge and empowered individuals to think for themselves. Without it, the modern world of mass media, education, and public discourse would be unimaginable. It truly was the start of the information age. Now we move into the 18th century, a time of steam, smoke, and steel. This is the Industrial Revolution, which began in Great Britain and then spread across the world. For millennia, the vast majority of people lived and worked on farms, and production was based on human or animal power. The Industrial Revolution changed all that. Inventions like the steam engine, the spinning jenny, and new iron-making techniques created a new source of power. Machines. Factories sprang up in cities, and people flocked from the countryside to work in them. This led to a massive shift in how people lived and worked. Cities grew at an incredible rate, often with terrible living and working conditions for the new urban poor. But it also led to an explosion in productivity and wealth. Goods that were once handmade luxuries became mass-produced and affordable. New forms of transportation, like railways and steamships, connected the world like never before. The Industrial Revolution created the modern capitalist economy, the urban society we live in, and many of the social and environmental challenges we still face today. It was a messy, chaotic, but undeniably powerful turning point that forged the backbone of our modern industrial world. Our next stop is the early 20th century, and the turning point isn't an invention or a political idea, but a devastating conflict: World War I. Before 1914, Europe was a continent of empires, dominated by old monarchies and a sense of optimistic progress. The Great War shattered that world completely. It was a war on an industrial scale, with new and terrifying weapons like machine guns, poison gas, and tanks, leading to casualty numbers that were previously unimaginable. The war toppled for great empires: the German, the Austro-Hungarian, the Ottoman, and the Russian. It redrew the map of Europe and the Middle East, creating new countries and new conflicts. It also brought the United States onto the world stage as a major power. The psychological impact was just as profound. An entire generation was lost, and the pre-war belief in progress was replaced with cynicism and disillusionment. The harsh terms of the peace treaty that ended the war, the Treaty of Versailles, helped sow the seeds for an even more destructive conflict just 2 decades later: World War II. It was the tragic end of an old world and the violent birth of the modern era. Finally, let us look at a turning point that happened within the lifetimes of many people watching: the dawn of the digital revolution and the creation of the internet. In the mid-20th century, computers were giant, room-sized machines used only by governments and large corporations. But with the invention of the microprocessor in the 1970s, the personal computer became possible. Then, in the late 1980s and early 90s, the World Wide Web was created, connecting these computers into a global network. This has fundamentally changed nearly every aspect of our lives: how we communicate, how we work, how we shop, how we learn, how we entertain ourselves. It's all been transformed. Information that was once hard to find is now available at our fingertips in an instant. We can connect with people on the other side of the planet as if they were next door. Social media has reshaped politics and social interaction. E-commerce has revolutionized business. This revolution is still unfolding, and we are living through its consequences every single day. Just like the printing press and the steam engine, the internet is a force that is reshaping our civilization right before our very eyes. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour through some of history's greatest turning points. From learning to farm to logging onto the web, these moments represent massive shifts in the human story. They show us that history isn't just a collection of dates and names, but a dynamic, ever-changing process. What do you think is the most important turning point in history? Is there a big one we missed? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.